You can make tables in HTML. You can define them like how you see with columns, with spreadsheets, I mean, and with Excel, and using the right styling, they can turn out to be very good web pages. So let's put a comment there for tables and start. First step, to be able to make a table effectively, you need to define the table. You do this by using the table tag. This tells the HTML document that you are trying to create a table, and it does the necessary workings for you to be able to make that table. Now we all know, as with tables, that in tables, an individual content, an individual block is a cell or a vertical arrangement of cells is a column. A horizontal arrangement of cells is a row. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say right now. So we can use this nomenclature and this logic to be able to make tables effectively with HTML. Now, with tables, we have table heads and table rows. Or sorry, we have rows and columns. HTML enables us to define our table rows with TR, but unfortunately, we do not have that facility with rows for columns, as there are no HTML tags or elements for columns. So we'd have to use some bits of initiative to be able to initialize columns, and I'll go through that now. Just leave two spaces to see my work well. But as with this spreadsheet, a table row is basically the vertical arrangement of data, and HTML, or to be able to put data down with your table, or yeah, to be able to put data down with your table, we first start with headings. Whenever you come across a table, you tend to see the first row of elements to be headings, and whoever follows down the rows would be the data you would use. And HTML takes note of that. And that's why they have a tag here called table heading, TH, which you would use to define your headings in HTML. This is good. So we can start going around and start looking for those tables. So here we are, the first thing in the page. So here in our table, I have defined three table headings: name, age, and gender. And they are all enclosed within the TR opening and closing gaps. And we notice that as we run them, we see those first three things all spaced out in their own block or in their own cell. And we also notice that while there are no columns, we see that HTML tends to define these elements as we did with lists, such that for lists, it's the first thing under the list that gets to be number one or number two or the first numeration or whatsoever. But with tables, the table gets populated from left to right in order of what is first after that table row. So for our first row, which is the heading row, we have the name, age, and gender all spaced out in their own cell, and they'll act as our headings. To make new rows, you simply just go in with the TR again. And because we already have a heading and we are trying to put information under, we try to just match that with other elements of data. And we represent typical table data within a cell with TD, table data. Like the table heading, they are all enclosed within that first TR. And for this example, we have a TD of John, which once processed will go under the first, the first cell at the bottom of name. Another table data of 30, which will go under the cell with age, with the age heading, and another table data of male, which will go under the gender cell. So if we were to run this, you see John 30 male, and yeah, they are neatly arranged, placed underneath their table headings. So we are going to do this for three more pieces of information. Two CR. Running this, you see that our information put is neatly arranged underneath the headings, and yeah, distinction comes from just how gender, which are the table headings are compared to the rest of the table data. Now with spreadsheets, where you can merge cells together to make bigger space for your rows, or columns, cells horizontally to make bigger space for rows, or horizontal or vertically to make bigger space for columns. We can do this with, we can situate this or engage this with co-span and row span, the co-span and row span attributes. So here, we would apply the co-span attributes and just give this attribute to the number of cells we want, that number of neighboring cells we want that cell to span across. So we put the co-span of name to span across two cells. Because of this, we see that the name cell is more spaced than age or gender, and it's taking up the space of these two places, John and 30, Uzo 28, and L and 25. This pushes the gender outside the cell, outside, the previous space we had included before, and now the gender is just standalone. We can do this with row span too. And I will do that for new under Uzo. And on refreshing, we see now that everything is jumbled up, but not to worry, as the Uzo here we see now that the mail took two rows, and because previously we had two mails, we just merged them into one and just called that one cell mail. And now this mail cell takes in the space allotted to the first John and the second for Uzo, and they're all just male. And then that gives space for the female attribute to be put under. This can be used to define common areas of where data, to just merge cells where the data in those cells are common, like we did here. And yeah, notice that in its default state, the there is no border defined for any of the tables or any of the cells in the table, and everything is just clear. So it may look confusing to you, but with CSS, which we'll discuss as we move on, we tend to add borders and everything becomes more readable and more interactive and just nicer and neater to use.